This video is a Fieldcraft video. It is reconnaissance of an enemy patrol base. Now, the situation I was thinking of when I was writing this up. Our scouts observed an enemy rifle platoon moving through our area of operations. Now, we mobilized and we sent out our own platoon to follow them. We had a couple people always keeping eyes on. They were always within visual range of that platoon as they were moving through the woods. The rest of us were 100 to 200 meters back, hopefully far enough back that that enemy patrol did not hear us or see us. We were in constant communications with our scouts that were observing that platoon. Now, as they were moving forward, the enemy suddenly stopped and kicked out an element at a 90-degree angle from their axis of advance, which was going this direction. Now, as soon as we seen that, we figured they're putting in a patrol base. So we sent forward a few more people, especially off on the side that we seen that element move off, to get some observation. So imagine we got two-man team is hidden in the woods farther off the table here. They're watching what's going on in here. They came up, sent their people in. They checked the area for their patrol base. Now, just a review on how patrol bases get set up. First thing you do, you send out a quartering party. And when you send out a quartering party, you have one NCO that's in charge and two people typically per squad that go out on a quartering party. And they check that area. They check the perimeter. They check the inside. They're making sure that there's no signs of chemical weapons. They're making sure that there's no mines, no booby traps, no IEDs. Making sure there's no sign of recent enemy activity. Making sure that there's no enemy positions nearby already overwatching this area. Trying to make sure as best as possible there's no snipers in the area. If everything passes their criteria, they then take up positions, typically on the corners of the edges of their squads, and you're going to have the NCO come back, report back to the platoon leader. He's going to tell them, okay, it's good to occupy, it's not good to occupy. If it doesn't meet the criteria, something's wrong. That whole quartering party comes back and they go to an alternate patrol base location that they found on the map or from satellite photos. Now, this met their criteria. So then they moved forward and took up a position. Now, as they're moving forward, if they're smart, they're going to leave, say, a fire team back here watching the route that they came in on. And hopefully, they're facing away from the main body. That is an ambush party that's sent out there to see if anyone's following. This is why you have to keep eyes on at all times so you can see if they leave that ambush party out. But if all you see is that group going out for a quartering party, and then you see the rest of the unit going in there, assume that in that location, near where that turn was, there's going to be an ambush. Now, that ambush is typically going to stay in position for a half hour to an hour. Give or take, it's going to be MET-TC dependent. Mission, enemy troops, terrain, time available, civilian considerations. Our different adversaries around the world have similar types of rules, and they call it different acronyms. So if they did leave an ambush in here, we still keep someone watching that ambush. Now, the rest of our element back here, we pull up into our own little security position. We do our own little 360, whatever we decide to do. We could do a triangle like they're doing, could do a 360, whatever is most advantageous to us for setting in a defense. Now, at that point, there's going to be a leaders meeting. You're going to have your patrol commander and each of the squad leaders is going to get together, discuss what to do. That patrol commander is going to make the decision on what's going to happen. Now, we know likely there is a patrol base that is being put in for the night. We can tell that because of the time of day. It's getting later in the day, so they're trying to set up so that they can get some rest overnight. They don't want to keep moving through our territory in the dark because they don't know if they could set off additional booby traps or mines that could be somewhere ahead of them on their route. So, our patrol commander decides, well, we're going to give them a few minutes, then we're going to start kicking forward some more teams, and then we're going to get as much info as we can. He may decide to send the people out right away, may decide to give them a few minutes, because remember, they're going to be the jumpiest, the most alert, right after they get set up here and they're starting to move in. That's when they're going to anticipate that if someone's behind them, we're going to walk right in. Now, inside the patrol base itself. First off, the main body, the platoon, is going to occupy their positions. Each squad is going to have one side of the triangle. Or if they're doing a wagon wheel, they're going to have it broken up. Say the 12 to the 4 to the 8, the 8 to the 12. But each squad will have its own side. If there's 4 squads in that platoon, if they go with a triangle, maybe they'll have their little quick reaction force, 1 squad worth, inside here. But they will kick out their supporting weapons like squad automatic weapons, anti-tank weapons out to the squads where needed. Now, once the main body is set up in position here, we got the ambush going on. When the ambush comes back, that is typically when the patrol commander of this enemy force is going to kick out his local patrol. That local patrol is probably going to be 2 or 3 people, at most a fire team. And they're going to typically leave, at least according to Western doctrine, from the left corner of their position. They're going to sweep out in a big arc and then come back in on the right corner of their sector. That recon patrol will then come in, give the information to the platoon commander, who is typically going to be located in the center somewhere of that patrol base. Now, based on the information from that recon patrol, that's when he's going to make that final decision of, okay, this is good, or we have to move to an alternate patrol base location. Now, if they decide this place is good for the night, our scouts were not noticed. Remember, they have to be careful not to be seen. They have to anticipate that there is going to be reconnaissance patrols coming in from their flank. These guys are going to start their priorities of work. Now, the first priority of work is positioning all the troops where they need to be to cover the different areas on the perimeter. It's not always going to be a set, 10 meters between positions, 5 meters between positions, 25 meters between positions. A squad leader or an NCO, if they know what the hell they're doing, they're going to adjust their perimeter based on the terrain. Where is the likely avenue of approach by the enemy? Now, with the U.S. military, the thing that you do when you're setting up any type of base, you always keep in mind is OCOCA. O-C-O-K-A. Observation, cover and concealment, situational obstacles, key terrain, and avenues of approach. So that NCO is going to take into account those things. He's going to look at it as, where could the enemy most likely approach from? How could he most likely approach? Where's the dead spaces in my sector of the perimeter? He's going to adjust his people accordingly. Now, his most casualty producing weapons, which are typically going to be machine guns and squad automatic weapons, he's going to put those at a location that's going to cover those avenues of approach, so that if an enemy, aka us, is approaching and we don't realize that they are there, we walk right into a full auto spray right into our formation. So he gets his people set up. And depending how long they're going to occupy that position will determine, do they put in fighting positions? If they do put in fighting positions, they're going to be there for a longer period of time. If they don't put in fighting positions, they may be occupying this patrol base for just a short halt so that they can do, a quick rest stop, eat some food, whatever needs to be done. Maybe they're going to be meeting up with another element. If they're going to stay in that position a while, a maximum of 24 to 48 hours, that NCO more than likely will have the orders put in some hasty fighting positions. Typically, scrapes. But if they're going to be there a long time or the situation calls for it, they may go from the hasty up into a deliberate position. So go from that scrape up into, say, a foxhole or an actual machine gun position. Now, while those positions are being set up, they're going to kick out LPOPs. Now, in our current situation here, we have an LPOP over here. There's an LPOP over here. And there's an LPOP over here. Now, depending on the capabilities of that platoon, if they had squad designated marksmen, if they have a sniper team with them, maybe they will kick them out as part of that LPOP team. Push them out to a location where they can have better good eyes on. Remember, they're trained a little bit better for observation, to tell when something's wrong, tell when someone's trying to sneak up, tell where someone's hiding. LPOPs are set up. And those LPOPs are going to be told, when you come back, you're going to come back on exactly this route here from this tree to this tree because we're going to have tripwires to either side. So make sure you're going on this azimuth, going right back, and here's your marks for coming back. Now, once the positions are set, that's when they are going to go out and they're going to start putting in their tripwires. These tripwires could be set to bounding fragmentation mines, it could be set to trip flares, it could be sent to hand grenades, claymore mines, whatever they have available. Those little combat multipliers that are going to assist them in their security for the night. And also, depending on the force, maybe they're going to put out some type of ground sensor. Those ground sensors could be set for detecting vibration. They could be set for detecting sound. I have not heard of any currently fielded ground sensors that detect for thermal. The only ones I'm aware of are vibration and sound. And those have been in the inventory for decades, and I guarantee that they have been improved. Now, while that's going on out here, the headquarters element inside, they're also going to be doing their little priorities of work. They're going to be setting up their command post. They're going to set up a location for the first aid station, the casualty collection point. They're going to locate the spot where the field latrine is going to be for that platoon while they're there overnight. They're also going to pick the spot where their trash is going to get dumped also. They're going to pick out where people are supposed to sleep, where people are supposed to eat. And remember, you do not eat in the same location where you sleep because your eating location will draw bugs. So typically the eating location is going to be away from the sleeping location. The latrine pits and the trash pits do the same thing. It draws bugs. So those are going to be located away from your sleeping positions and your meal positions. Once everything is all set up good, that is when each person is going to do their individual range cards, and then they turn over those range cards to that squad leader. The squad leader is going to do a sector sketch. When he has the sector sketch done, he takes that to the platoon leader so he knows what's located where all the way around him. Now, note on mines, tripwires, claymores, and stuff. These typically are going to be located in dead spaces, locations where you do not have good observation on. So, If there's a dip that an enemy could low crawl through to get close to your position, maybe they're going to put a mine in it. If there's definitely a big drop, a draw that the enemy could gather in to assault that position, maybe they'll hide some claymores down in there. And when there's an indication that, hey, someone's down in there, they pop the clacker, set off those claymores, catching that assault force inside that draw before they're ready. Now, they could also potentially put, depending on how many they have, they could put mines in as kind of a final protective line right in front of their positions. Maybe they'll have a string of claymores in front so that if the enemy is assaulting in, they're going to hit those claymores and catch them out here before they can overwhelm the defensive line. So now I got you thinking on what is going in to the patrol base. Every country is going to be similar on that. It's always similar concepts. It's just slightly different ways on how they do it, how many people that they have do it, the equipment they have with them. Now, we have one observation team, which is over here. They're getting as much information as possible. Our platoon leader has decided he's going to kick out 2 more teams, because it looks like they're going in, or we know their typical doctrine is putting in a triangle. We will try to kick out a team for each side of the patrol base. Even if they do a wagon wheel, we're still going to send out at least 3 2-man teams in order to get good observation on the area here. Now, what are those observation teams going to do? First off, they're not going to engage. If they get found, sighted by the enemy, if they're close enough, they're going to take them out with a close-in weapon. Knife, a garrote, a club, something. Okay? Kill them silently. If your cover is blown, they see you, they're too far away, they start yelling out, they start running back towards the position, well, it's going to be a judgment call at that point, and according to the guidance of your patrol commander. He may tell you, kill them and get the fuck out of the area, because these guys are not going to stay in that location if they know they've been compromised. They're going to move on anyway, so at that point it's going to be bring everyone up, hit them as they're pulling out, and hopefully catch them as their pants are still down. Now, our 3 recon teams that we got in here, what are they going to be doing? They're going to get as much information as possible. You're going to have 2 people on this team, so one person can be writing down a sketch while the other person can be getting the information and also keeping watch around them to make sure there isn't a reconnaissance patrol that comes upon them, or one of these LPOPs that's going into position is moving out. We don't want to get seen as we're getting this information. But the info we're going to get includes things like what are their position locations, especially for their listening post observation posts, their supporting weapons such as machine guns, mortars, air defense, whatever special weapons they have. They're going to do a sector sketch showing where that stuff is on the perimeter. You're going to do estimated distances between the positions. How far are they from everything else around them? From their position to their left and their right, positions behind them, a LPOP in front, where its location is, how far away is it, where is it located in the terrain on your little sketch. You're going to put in there any information on obstacles they could be putting out. They could be putting out some type of tanglefoot. Maybe they're putting out, some strings of communications wire out there, hidden in the grass, hidden in the bushes, to keep you from assaulting into that position at night. You need to take note of that. And if you can get down the pattern on your sketch, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, you get a depth of, mark on there for 5 meters deep. There is tanglefoot in this location. WD1 communications wire strung between ankle to knee height at random. You're going to put down the positions of every tripwire, mine, and trip flare that you come across. If you can identify the ordnance, you put it on there so that your leader knows what it is. Knows that at this location, we have a bounding fragmentation mine. At this location, we have a claymore. At this location over here, we have a trip flare. They're also going to make note on the sketch, if they can see it, where are those important locations inside here? Where is the command post? Where is the aid station? Where's the area where people are sleeping? Where are they supposed to eat? Where's a supply location? Maybe they were carrying supplies with them. They got it consolidated in there and they have it hidden. Where are those supplies at? Because maybe your patrol commander may decide, instead of wiping out the force, it's just going to be infiltrate into the perimeter, take out a few positions to open a gap, steal those supplies, and take them out of there, hopefully without the enemy realizing it, until they find there's people dead inside their hasty foxholes. Now, you're also going to take note, especially if it's later hours, their guard shifts. How long are they on average? Are they 45 minutes, they 1 hour, or is it random? One guy's on for 30 minutes, the next guy's on for 45 minutes, the next one's on for 30 minutes, the next one's on for an hour, whatever it is. If possible, if you see an element going out and coming in, try to get close enough without being seen so you can hear the challenge and password. Now, typically, in order to confirm a challenge and password, you're going to listen to it more than once, because a force that knows what they're doing, they're not just going to come out and say pagoda and the password is MRE, okay? They're going to change it up in the sentence and stuff. They're going to say it differently. It's like, hey, you ever been to the Pink Pagoda? And the next time the challenge is given to someone, it's like, hey, did you ever see that pagoda over in Incheon? You're going to change it up. You got to listen to figure out which word is the challenge and what the response, which word is the likely password. Now, you're also going to keep watch on the alertness. Are they really alert? They're watching everything, they're flinching for every sound? Or does it seem like they don't care? People aren't paying attention, they're just screwing around in that stuff, smoking, joking, whatever. You got to make notes on that stuff too. Now, try to find the locations of key leaders. Key leaders will be where that squad leader is, that platoon sergeant, that platoon leader, or company commander, depending on the size of the patrol base. Now, also, you're going to make notes. Where is the dead spaces? Where are the locations that we can approach that patrol base the easiest? Hey, there's a draw coming in from this direction going this way. Or, hey, we found a culvert over here that comes underneath the road. It's about 50 meters away. We can come through that, and then we'll come up on the other side, and we can use the drainage ditch to get right next to the patrol base. And you're also going to try to get a sense of the general situation. How does everything look? Are they in there for the long term? They there for only a short period of time? That can really be determined by, are they putting in fighting positions? Are they putting out tripwires and mines? If they're not putting them out, especially in those dead spaces, they could be there only a short period of time, but it could also be they ran out. Maybe they used them all up. A common thing with the Soviet troops in Afghanistan, and reportedly the Russians still do this, each one of their soldiers, when they're out on a mission, carries 2 mines with them. 2 PMNs, or 2 bounding fragmentations, two stake mines, or claymore, or a couple claymores, or claymore and a trip flare, that type of thing. Well, in Afghanistan, what the troops there would do, they would put the mines out, and when they left the next morning, they left the mines there. Okay, maybe they would bring a couple with them, depending on how long they were going to be out overnight, but it was more often than not, the troops were lazy, they'd leave the mines behind. So that by the end of their patrol, they were completely out of it, and they were just using a few hand grenades as the booby traps at night, because that's all they had left. Now, you're going to do a sector sketch. Now, on this sector sketch, when you're drawing it up, you're going to put as much information as possible, but you should have some pre-agreed on abbreviations for when you're marking stuff out on your sector sketch as you're observing that enemy position. And they should be kind of obvious to your people. Things like CP for command post, SL for squad leader, LPOP, listening post, observation post, or you could do LP or OP. MG, machine gun. SAW, squad automatic weapon. GL, grenade launcher. Now, if they have a tripod mounted grenade launcher, it'd be an AGL, an automatic grenade launcher. That did happen in Afghanistan, and it sounds like that's still going on in Ukraine. The troops there will carry a tripod mounted grenade launcher with them, even on a patrol, so that they get that extra firepower. AT or RPG, that's the anti-tank person. You're trying to note where he is. You want to know where he's at so that you can try taking him out quickly, because he has a mass casualty weapon right there. Launching that thing into a tree right next to where your guys are assaulting from or you're firing from, you just lost a bunch of people. R for rifleman, S for sniper team, and remember, snipers are not typically sent out on their own. You have a scout or an observer and the sniper, and they typically swap out. First, or a 1, that's the first aid location. And then you could do other, variations in there. Maybe you'll do an ME for mess. Something along those lines. Whatever you come up with for markings on your sector sketch. Now I have here a quick dirty sector sketch, if you can see it. Try to get sighted in here. Now, the sector that we got on the sketch here is this sector down in here. So we have this observation team's sketch that they were able to put together. They got as close as they could without being seen. Now, it would not hurt. They have a small pair of binos with them so they can look through for details, scanning out in front for those tripwires, those mines, the indicators for them, scanning to their left, to their right. So in here we have the total length of the perimeter, and we have the measurement on here, is about 100 meters for this squad. On the left side here we have a machine gun position. And we have MG, the number above it says the number of troops in there. There's 2. Down below it, there is 1 PKM and 1 rifle. Next position over is 2 riflemen in a foxhole, both with rifles, approximately 25 meters away. The next position over from that is about 25 meters away. It is a rifleman position, 2 people in there, foxhole, 2 AKs, 1 grenade launcher. Next position over is approximately 30 meters away. We have a foxhole, rifleman, a 2 above it, 2 people inside. Both have AKs. The next position, which is the corner over here, is approximately 20 meters away. That's the orientation where the position is facing. That is a squad automatic weapon. Inside there, we have 2 people, 1 with an AK, 1 with an RPK. Now, located off of this position out here, at the edge of the trees here, in this area. Down in here, we have an LPOP, and hidden in there, 3 people with AKs, and they're observing this area down in here. And we make notes of the area they're observing. Now over here on the other end, we have a sniper. There's a sniper team hidden in the trees over here, and they are watching this gully over here where the water is to make sure no one's approaching through there. At that position, we have an SVD sniper rifle and 1 AK, and we denote where they are. This sniper position is 100 meters out at this azimuth from the machine gun position. This position over here is 150 meters out from this rifle position, like halfway between the rifle position and the saw position, 150 meters out, this azimuth to that location. Now we also have in here, we made notations of some tripwires that were put in. Up here we have a claymore oriented this way. By this tree over here, we have a claymore which is going this direction across the field. By this tree over here, we have another claymore which is more going straight down here. Now over here, as we were approaching, we noticed that there is a tripwire set in here to a trip flare. And we get the distance of that tripwire. Estimate it as close as you can. So this tripwire is about 10 meters long. And then we would make a note on here which end has the trip flare. All this information gets turned in when we get back. Oh, one more position here. Behind the centermost position near the tree, we have another foxhole here, a little bit bigger than the rest. We think this is where the squad leader is located. We've also noticed 1 RPG there and a person with a radio. Because we seen the radio there, the manpack radio, we figured that's where the squad leader is located. And he is just in front of this tree. We can't see anything past this point because of vegetation. If we could see anything else, we'd put it in here. If we could see other positions on the sides of our sector, as long as we could see it, we'd mark it in there so that when our patrol commander gets this info, he can take all these sector sketches and more easily line them up by having those common indicators or locations. Now, once we get all that information, we pull back, we follow whatever the procedure is. You know, do you leave one person there observing, and then the one goes back with the info, gives that report to the patrol commander? Or does both members of the team go back? Whatever your SOP is. Dusty. We haven't used this stuff for a while, so stuff was kind of dusty. Okay. Now, when all the information comes back to our patrol commander, he's going to go through, he's going to take each of these individual reports, he's going to draw up a giant sector sketch of the entire patrol base. He's going to take all the information from the sketches he's got, he's going to put it in there. He's also going to take notes of, you know, all that other stuff in there, how alert they were, the guard rotations, all that. He'll take that into account and then make a decision. Maybe they're just going to launch some rockets or some mortars into there overnight. Maybe they're going to send in a team to steal supplies. You know, maybe they're going to get in there, kill the medic, steal his medic bag because the guerrillas are short on medical supplies. Maybe they're going to steal the ammunition. Maybe they're going to steal the food, whatever it may be. Maybe they're going to get in there, sneak in, take out the command post. Maybe they'll take one prisoner and they're going to steal the radio. They're going to steal any code books, any orders, maps that they come across, and then slip back out of the perimeter without the rest of the force knowing. Or he'll draw up an attack plan, decide how to overrun this position during the night. Can we literally get inside the perimeter and take them out before they fire the first shot. If we can get inside that perimeter without a shot being fired, the chances of us being able to take up the entire area without any casualties is extremely high. That's why you get as much info as you can. Where everyone's located, what's at each location, how alert everyone is, all the information possible on their guard shifts, as much info as you can. Now I'll make the little note here on the sleep positions. I forgot to mention this. The sleep positions could be inside the slit trenches that they dug out here, or if they do pull back into the perimeter, the common tactic is you sleep next to a tree. So we have a large tree here. This is the outside of the perimeter. This is closest to this edge of the perimeter. The soldier that would sleep behind this tree is going to be on this side directly opposite of the perimeter. He's going to be sleeping low to the ground. He'll have his rucksack there, and he'll be sleeping up against that. If it starts to rain, he'll pull out a poncho or tarp, throw it over the top, who knows, maybe tie it to the tree a little bit. That type of thing. If you do not see people sleeping in their positions on the perimeter, it is likely they're sleeping behind the trees. If they are an inexperienced force, instead of sleeping spread out behind the trees or next to the trees, they will be clustered together with everyone nearby each other. That's a really bad situation. Those locations can easily be taken out with mortars, rockets, and hand grenades. So there you go. Things to consider for writing up a battle drill on what to do if an enemy force moves through your area, how to recon them, what type of information should you get during your reconnaissance, how should you do it? Well, how should you do it? You do it silently. You stay as concealed as much as possible. Get as much information as you can from as far away as possible. But there is going to be times you're going to have to get in closer so you can see what type of mine was put in place, where is it located, and that stuff. Now, those mines that are put out, if you got people trained on it, maybe they will neutralize them as you're sneaking up on the perimeter during the night or whenever you're going to be attacking. That's why you got to ID them. So, there you go. Some little groundwork laid out for you. Write up your own battle drill, okay, and practice it. Okay, go through, if you're already in some type of self-defense force or something right now, split off an element that's going to be the enemy element, and then have your team or squad that's going to be the guerrilla force that has to go through and do this. So you got the element that's practicing putting in a patrol base, and you got the element that's out there trying to be as concealed as possible, get as much information as possible, and then, however you handle it. At the end of the exercise, you get together, see how much info you're able to get, or you do a little force-on-force operations, whatever it is. So there's some info for you, things to think about. Those of you that were infantry, please add additional information in the comments to pad this out a little bit more. I was an engineer, not infantry. We typically were located with the infantry when we were going through the woods and that stuff, and we had to base our stuff off of them. So a lot of what I'm giving you is just my observations on this. Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot and militia movements, always remember essayons.